Good afternoon, this is Rob and Kirby-Gatto. Welcome to my kitchen. We're going to do cooking keto with Kirby-Gatto. As you join in today, oh my goodness, you are entering game day zone. Oh, get ready for football this weekend. Not only is it going to be awesome games, but guess what? With keto-friendly appetizers, your game day will actually be a fun day. You're going to get 2 game day recipes that will absolutely be your favorites. Super easy to make, and especially in preparing for the game day weekend, guess what? We get to start on game day food today and have it ready for tomorrow. Are you super excited for your favorite football teams? We cannot wait for our favorite football team. Those of you who know me in Alabama, Roll Tide. Sorry, I hope I don't offend you. But I cannot wait for game day football. But what is also interesting is we not only watch Alabama football, but if some of the top 10 are playing, we are so there. We are there. Saturday is a game day for us. It is our vacation. Rich and I do not take vacations. And so football season is our enjoyment and our vacation. And so you're going to get some game day food because I don't know about you, but on game day, I do not feel like cooking. I feel like having it super easy on game day. And so the game day foods, the 2 game day foods that I'm going to prepare for you today, you're going to be able to do these game day foods all through the day. So for lunchtime, guess what you have? This game day food, and you have enough left over, just the perfect amount for 2 people. And you get to have it in the evening as well, so you don't have to cook. How awesome is that? Now, if you happen to have 4 people watching the game, this is a perfect appetizer for 4 people. I'm going to do a moderate display of one particular appetizer, but I'll give you the recipe for the full appetizer. But we're going to go ahead and prepare and get ready for meatballs. How many of you love meatballs? I totally love meatballs. And let me just go ahead. Yes, right, Jenny, Roll Tide. Woo! And as we, thank you for joining in, Vicky. Thanks, Sue. I love you, lady. Hey, Kathy. God bless you. Hey, Eva. So awesome to have y'all on here. Hey, Carla. Hey, Stephanie. Now, here is my stove. And I have to apologize ahead of time. I do not have my iPad. And so I'm doing this on my iPhone. And so I'm going to keep moving around to give you the best angle possible of us doing what we're doing on the stovetop to let you know what's going on as we mix, because this is our mixing section over here. Let me go ahead and tell you the 2 recipes. The 2 recipes are meatballs. Yum. Oh my goodness. These meatballs are off the chain. They're keto friendly. You're going to stay under 10 carbs on your serving. And so you're going to be in that perfect ketosis area. You're not going to bump it. Also, on our second appetizer, it's mainly composed of fiber. So guess what happens to the carbohydrates? They knock it out. And so really your carbohydrates are coming from cheese, because guess what we're doing? Pimento cheese and crackers. Yum. Are you ready? So preheat your oven right here to 375. And if you want to, you can do this at the same time. Again, I always do my meatballs ahead of time. So let me give you the recipe for my meatballs, and you can make it according to whatever works for you. I have, of course, Tennessee Pride hot sausage, just under a half. And then I have a pound, just over a pound, of ground chuck. The fat in this is going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to give you the texture. How are we going to texturize it? We're going to texturize it, of course, through almond flour, which is kind of like your oatmeal substitute. I don't know about y'all, but I used to make my meatballs before keto, pre-keto, with oatmeal. But we're making our keto balls, meatballs, with almond flour. And for texture and keeping together, you're also going to have an egg. This egg is going to hold that texture together. And this you generally want to do, just FYI, for those of you who want to do this. Listen, I did this the last game day that we were home 2 weeks ago, when actually Tua Tagovailoa ended up getting out of the game, and Mac Jones came in, And I did this game food back then 2 weeks ago. And it was awesome not having to worry about it, having it already done, not having to stop in the middle of the game, seeing what was going on, and just having it done and out of the way. And so I started this recipe on Thursday. So if you want to do your meatballs ahead of time on Thursday, because let me tell you this, you're going to let these meatballs marinate. Oh my goodness. This marinate is a tomato sauce, but also it's an apple cider vinegar. How awesome is that? We get healthy too at the same time. You know that crud that is going around right now? Guess what? These meatballs are healthy and they're going to help you combat the crud at the same time, right? And so we're going to do some apple cider vinegar, and I also do stevia. And you're going to let that apple cider vinegar with that tomato sauce, we're going to do homemade tomatoes. And I've got 4 Roma tomatoes. What's a Roma tomato? Let me show you. This is a Roma tomato right here. A Roma tomato for me, I like Roma tomatoes for keto better than regular tomatoes because the regular tomatoes seem to have so much water. When I always cook my tomatoes down and saute them, Roma tomatoes have less water in my experience. And let me also start this video off by saying this is an informational and entertainment video for your pleasure. You get to see my lifestyle on the ketogenic diet, the food that I make. I pray that this information blesses you and you are fully entertained in my kitchen. So let us get started. I get 4 of these. I dice them and you end up having these tomatoes. But also what we're going to do is we're going to cook that down now, and I'm going to add in some olive oil. I'm probably going to add in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I love this olive oil, FYI. This extra virgin Australian select olive oil at Fresh Market. If you have a Fresh Market near you, get there. It's $6 off a bottle until November the 2nd. I am stocking up on these. I love these particularly because it has this spout and there's no spattering. And so you get this and you stir it around, you pour it in. And so I've got about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to put this actually on next to a medium high, which is about 4. So we're going to get it to a low simmer. We've got olive oil in there. And then also I'm going to add in some oregano, herbs as they call it in England. We're going to add in some herbs. I have a herb garden outside on our porch. And you know what? Oregano is so awesome. It goes almost in every dish. You want to keep you some oregano herbs. If you're going to get a herb garden, you can do one inside. You can do one outside. I need to actually shift the one that we have outside and bring it inside because herbs grow year round as long as they're in safe conditions of weather and they're not going to be frozen and they're not going to die. And so oregano is one of the go-to herbs, as well as it grows brilliantly with oregano. You can put it in the same pot. Basil. Oh my goodness. You touch this basil and you can smell it on your hands. Now I know a lot of y'all might just like little herbs. I like a whole bunch of herbs. So I'm going to probably put in about 4 basil leaves, and I'm going to probably put in about 2 of these oregano stems. What is cool about this is you can actually, let me bring y'all around here because I have my iPhone so I don't have to feel like my back is to y'all. So I'm hoping you're not seeing that my kitchen is so horrible. Excuse me. But you're going to get these herbs and you're going to go down, and look how beautiful that is. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Then you're going to get the top of this and you're going to continue to go down. Y'all get to see all of my clean stuff that I'm cleaning with over there, so please forgive me. So that is some oregano, and we're going to add a little bit more, and you're going to get to see all the goody stuff that I'm using to cook with. This is all my cooking stuff. For those of y'all who see that white wine in the background, that is cooking wine. So do not think that I'm a drinker. I do not drink. The only thing I drink is the word, amen? And so let's get some basil. We're also going to get some basil. And we're going to get this. For me, sometimes I dice it, but also sometimes I go ahead and I get it and I just pull it apart just because I just love the smell of this basil. And I love the smell of this basil on my fingers. What is interesting is your body is porous, so your body is going to take in some of this basil, and basil is good for your skin. Amen. Now I'm going to bring you back around and this part of the kitchen. Hello, here I am. And we're going to keep this on medium, low, high, low, medium. And that medium is going to bring this to a saute. And then after this starts sauteing, we're going to add this tomato sauce. That's just the first part of prepping. But let's get to our meatballs. Yay! Woo! So this is going to be kind of messy. I've got a bowl, and I've got my under a half sausage. For me, why do I do sausage? First and foremost, if you like heat, I love heat. Bring the heat, right? So if you like heat, Tennessee Pride. I have tried hot sausages, all the hot sausages that are out there. Tennessee Pride hot sausage by far is the best sausage. It has the perfect amount of fat that once it ends up cooking with a hamburger and you're combining that ground chuck, sometimes my chuck specifically, my ground meat, or if you use a leaner meat, it is going to have just a little bit need for fat. With the keto diet, we like fat, right? And so I'm going to get this Tennessee Pride hot sausage, and I'm going to get a pound of hamburger meat because I love the heat. How many of you like heat? I love the heat. And also, we'll have some time in a minute where you can ask me some questions on my information or my entertainment, and I will be more than happy to answer them. And so we always get our meat, FYI. If you have a fresh market around you, it is awesome because you can get their meat on Tuesdays. Their ground chuck is on sale. Take all rings off. Make sure you wash your hands. It's important for sanitizing purposes. Washing your hands, FYI, is the biggest way to keep things sanitized. And so I've got the two meats. I'm going to add my 1 egg. And then I'm going to get my almond flour. And here is my almond flour. Where is it? Here it is. I'm going to get my almond flour. And I'm going to get my measuring devices. And I'm going to do about a cup of almond flour. Now, you might think that's a lot, but I'm telling you, I've done these meatballs. They are super awesome. The reason that I added so much almond flour is because I wanted it to be substantive, to be able to fill us up. And so I'm going to do also a cup of almond flour. And then after that cup of almond flour, you've got all your ingredients. Now if you want some extra seasonings, FYI, just if you happen to want them. I like garlic. I love garlic. And so I'm going to put some garlic powder in there. And of course, as always, because it's meat, you need salt. I've learned this from watching the cooking channel enough. And so salt is what amplifies and brings that taste out. And so I usually do just a pinch of salt to go on top of that meat. Just a couple of pinches to go on top of that meat. And I'm going to do just a baby hint of pepper. And I'm milling this pepper over it, grinding it. And now is the part where you get your hands in. This is where you get your hands in and you do the work. And you're just going to end up bringing this all together, almost like you're kneading dough, okay? Like you're kneading dough. And you're wanting to mix, of course, that meat with the sausage. And you're going to be having that egg. Like for me, I don't have my egg already mixed when I put it in. I just prefer to have it in whole, and then I start mixing it. And then you're going to bring in that almond flour, that breading. It is going to be super yummy. And so for me, I usually probably do this a couple of minutes. Now remember, we have our oven preheated to 375. This is what the cooking temperature that you're going to cook your meatballs on for pre-game day. So if you want to do this recipe in the morning, you can do it in the morning. And why is it good to do it? Because you want to let them marinate. As I mentioned, in our marinara sauce, we're going to have apple cider vinegar. So what is that going to do? It's going to go into those meatballs, and it's going to bring in that yummy flavor, and it's going to bring in more of that marinara sauce, where you're going to feel like that marinara sauce is inside of the meatballs. Don't worry if you overcook the meatballs, because I did the first time. Because what did that apple cider vinegar do? It broke down any toughness, and it made those meatballs yummy and soft. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a great texture. And so in order to always have a great texture, guess what? Use you some apple cider vinegar, which we'll see when we do these meatballs. You'll put it in the marinara sauce, and I usually do about a tablespoon for me, but it's your preference. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. And so to transfer this and to make my meatballs, I already have a tray down here, this yellow tray. It's a Dansk 1950s. It's very seasoned, which is why it looks like that. And so I have this ready. I'm going to wash my hands just for a minute. Now remember, when you wash your hands, use antibacterial soap. We're going to be washing our hands a lot because we're moving things around. I don't have a helper today, and so we're moving things around. What you want to do on the bottom of this pan is get you some extra virgin olive oil, and you're going to just kind of move it around and just dabble it in this pan so the meatballs don't stick. Now again, I've got some Tennessee fried hot sausage, so that should help it right there. But I just like to make it easy because we're going to take our meatballs after they're finished, and we're actually going to transfer them to this little pot. This is a 1932 Dutch Holland pot. Got off eBay. And I love antique, vintage pots. Can you tell? And so we're going to transfer the meatballs in here after they're cooked. You want them separated far enough to where when you make the form, they're not going to end up touching each other, because if they touch each other, what's going to happen? You're not going to have individual meatballs. You're going to have a meatball sandwich, right? And so let's start making these forms. And while we're making these forms, I just want to tell you that if you need a recipe for the holidays, you know what you can do? You can do this, and you can make a variation with almost like a gravy sauce. What would I do? I would probably use, for me, I'm just saying for me, I would probably do my basic buttercream sauce. If you have not seen that recipe, look on my last YouTube channel of Cooking Keto with Kirby-Gatto, and you'll see that recipe. Do you see these forms? I'm making them, and I'm making sure this olive oil is swished around and spread across the whole pan. And I'm just dropping these forms in, these circular forms. So what I would do, if it were me, I could also maybe make that buttercream sauce instead of doing tomato sauce. And maybe with that buttercream sauce, I would add bacon grease, bacon fat drippings. And those bacon fat drippings would be perfect. And I would add maybe some pepper. And that would be a yummy meal. Do that with some creamed cauliflower. And oh my goodness, that would be an awesome wintertime meal, wouldn't it? And so there's different variations that you can do with this. You can also do an Asian spin. What's an Asian spin? You could do this tomato sauce that I'm doing and maybe put in some coconut amino acids. Coconut amino acids are great. They taste like Worcestershire sauce. I don't know about you, but I like me some Worcestershire sauce. But of course, I do not do it as much because one of the things that they do, Worcestershire sauce does, is it can increase your estrogens. And so the option is coconut amino acids, those coconut aminos. That is perfect as a substitute. So what I would do, if I wanted to do an Asian spin on this, I would put that coconut amino, and then I would add me some ginger. I would get some fresh ginger, and I would grate that ginger and do me some coconut aminos, and then do it with this tomato base, and there you go. Voila! You've got you an Asian meatball. So that's another thing you can do. That would be a great New Year's Eve meatball, wouldn't it? Oh my goodness, I'm getting so yummy. I tell you what, one thing I love is Asian food. I love this. I love ginger. I love garlic. And Asian food has so much of that. But I'm getting all these meatballs in this pan, and I'm trying to keep them from touching. I did not know I was going to have so many meatballs come out. Oh my goodness. Had I known, I would have gotten a different pan. So we're going to keep spreading this out. And I'm actually going to do what I did last time, which is I also put some in the bottom of that pan, that Dutch Holland pan, and I cooked that at the same time as I cooked these because it was more than I thought. And so we're getting this, and then we're also going to put some in this Dutch Holland pan. The good thing is I don't have to transfer those that are already in there. I just have to add these on top. So let me wash my hands. Again, sanitize. I still have some meatballs to do, but I'm fixing to pick up a pan. And so we need to sanitize. Washing my hands. Antibacterial soap. And then we're going to get this pot. And I'm going to do some olive oil in the bottom of this in order to get some meatballs ready to put into this. And we're going to do this, what I like to do is 375 for about 35 minutes. 375 for 35 minutes. And so now that I've got the oil in this, I'm going to smear it around as I do some more meatballs and we add them to them. Then we're going to put these in the oven. We're going to put a timer on, which I love my new iPhone. Oh my goodness. This is brought to you by the new iPhone that I'm on. That's the reason I get to do this. Is because God was so good to us and He brought us a provision to get this iPhone so I could do more stuff for keto and do more stuff for ministry. So this is working out perfect. I got just the perfect amount of space. So I'm making my last meatballs for this particular Dutch Holland pan. And then guess what I'm going to do again? Wash my hands. So let me wash my hands with antibacterial soap. Make sure you get it under your fingernails. Get that antibacterial soap under your fingernails. So this goes in the oven. And this goes in the oven, right? 35 minutes. We're going to set the timer for 35 minutes. Then we get to start our next recipe. Are you super excited? We get to start our next recipe and then I get to answer your questions. I'm so glad y'all are with me today. And so the next recipe, I'll get this in, and then we'll end up going a little faster, and I can stop. I can look at what some of the things you might be asking me and answer them. But the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to prepare the crackers. These are Flax Seed Parmesan crackers. Super yummy, super easy. Where did I get it? I got this at the Pelham Walmart. I know Jenny Gailey's by the Pelham Walmart. Pelham Walmart. This is not at every Pelham Walmart. You're going to get flaxseed, ground flaxseed, organic. And FYI, I will do a cinnamon roll recipe that is actually made of flaxseed, except you have to make sure it's super ground. So you're going to use your coffee grinder to even grind up this ground flaxseed. And it makes amazing cinnamon rolls. But today we're going to make crackers. The good thing about this cracker is that if you're hungry and you don't know what you want to eat and you don't feel like cooking, this cracker is super easy. You're going to love this recipe. You're going to thank me for this recipe. You're going to do this recipe, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a smaller version because I want our crackers super fresh. Generally, I will make this on the day of the game. I will make this probably about 40 minutes before the game starts. It will cook only 30 minutes on 375 and it will be ready. But also you're going to want to go into the oven and you're going to want to check it over and over again because you might like it crispier, you might like it softer where it's more of a breaded cracker. But this is the yummiest recipe. If I am hungry during the week and I'm not fasting and I want something, I really don't want to cook, I just want something easy, I will already have pimento cheese. I have a pimento cheese bowl that I already have pimento cheese in, and we're going to look at that and we're going to make that in a minute. But this is a go-to where I can just make it, and I just make it according to what I want to eat. I just aim by my eye. So what would be the recipe for your game day meal for it to be able to last for 2 meals for 2 people? You're going to have lunch and you're going to have dinner with this game day. Or can we say, like we've got Alabama football at 6 p.m. tomorrow, so we're going to have this at 6 p.m., which means we're also going to eat it probably at 11 a.m., 12 p.m., probably 12 p.m. and I don't eat them close together per se, the meatballs and the crackers. I kind of give my space. Maybe we can give our space probably about an hour. So eat your crackers, wait an hour, eat the meatballs. Why? It's because we're trying to draw out the length of the carbohydrates being stacked on one another. The good thing is, if you do this meatball recipe, you can gauge, and I will double check, but you can gauge one serving at a meal will probably be under 10 carbs. So that's good. Now with this cracker recipe, again, this flax seed, even though it says it's 4 grams of carbs, guess what? It has 4 grams of fiber, and fiber cancels out the number of carbs. So net carbs is 0. And so your carbs are going to come from the cheese. And so probably with cheese and cracker for one serving, you're going to have net carbs at the most, I would say probably 4 to 5 net carbs. Isn't that great? But generally for four servings, which is 2 people having it twice a day, or a group of 4 people having it, or just whatever. So you're going to do 1 cup of this, and then you're going to do 1 cup of not 1 cup, a third of a cup of Parmesan, 1 cup of flax seed, ground flax seed, a third of a cup of Parmesan. I'm trying to turn it right there. A third of a cup of Parmesan, and I always do garlic powder. You're going to do garlic powder, and you're also going to do some salt, because I like a little salt in my crackers. So today, I'm not going to do those amounts. I'm just going to gauge it by my eyeball, and I'm going to take the top off because it's not easy to sprinkle out a third of a cup. Today, I'm probably only going to do a third of a cup of this because I'm just doing it for snack purposes. And then I'm going to do probably 2 tablespoons of Parmesan. If you want to do it for an individual recipe, 2 tablespoons of Parmesan. And then I'm going to do, because I like it a lot, I love garlic, I'm going to do a big puff of garlic powder because I just love garlic. I just love garlic. It is so yummy. And then I'm going to do a little bit of salt and give it a pinch of salt. Now, what do we do? How do we get this texture? How do we get it to stick together? That's the good thing about fiber. First, before we do our water, all you got to do is add water to it. We're going to mix this around. Make sure all the dry ingredients are mixed. That Parmesan, that garlic powder, and that flax seed. And it's going to look like this. And now you just add water until it gets to the perfect texture. What texture is it? It's where nothing is dry and it's holding a form. It can stick together. And that's all it is. Is that not amazing? Do you love me now? Huh? Is that not amazing? And so I'm just going to add water and gauge it because I've done this enough. And then we're going to put this in the oven. So I've added probably about maybe a little over a tablespoon of water for this amount. And I'm just gauging it before I add more because I would rather not add enough and then have to add more than to overdo it. Okay, look at this. This is kind of, let me show you the texture form. This is kind of the texture. It's holding together. You see that? It's holding together like that. And it's almost like a kid building a sandcastle with water. That's what it's like. And so you're going to take this non-stick sheet for baking, right? And what I do is I just form whatever form I want. Usually, the tray that I cook the meatballs in, that yellow tray, is usually what I normally cook this particular cracker in. But sometimes when it's just me, I get a little frying pan, a Teflon pan that I can put in the oven, and I just use that. And so now I'm going to do my form, and I'll show you in just a minute so you'll be able to see it. I'm going to do my form, and you'll be able to see it. Just FYI, the thinner you get it, it can be more crispier. So if you want it crispier, just play with it. I know it seems messy at first, but just play with it because it is so yummy. It is worth it. Let me wash my hands. And even though I did not do meat or eggs or anything like that, I'm still going to use soap. antibacterial soap, sanitization, right? And I'm going to show you my little form of this meatball. This is the Teflon pan that I like putting in the oven sometimes. Not the meatball, but the bread, the cracker. So this is the form. See, it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yummy, right? And so I'm going to put this in the oven. For me, Rich likes it more breadier. I love crackers. But generally for me, this would probably do 375 for at least 22 to 25 minutes. At 22 to 25 minutes, and let's see how many minutes, we got 26 minutes remaining. And so at about 4 minutes on the oven, I'm going to check that cracker, and I'm just going to see the texture that it's got at that time. And I'm going to determine if I want it just a little harder, if I like it that soft, if it's cooked enough, and see if it's the perfect cracker for me. So what are we going to put on the cracker? I'm glad you asked, because this is also going to be one of your favorite foods. You can keep it in the refrigerator. You can mix it. I generally will mix it on game days. I'll have some extra for me during the week. But we're going to make some pimento cheese. What do we have to make the pimento cheese? We have some extra sharp. I love Cabot's. I get this at Walmart. Some Cabot's extra sharp cheese. And I'm going to use the amount that I still have left over. We invest in cheese. Some people in keto don't believe in cheese. We believe in cheese. And so I've already got a cheese bowl that I use. And I've already got some extra sharp cheddar, some Cabot's. And we're going to use that. For me, using Duke's mayonnaise. Duke's mayonnaise is my favorite mayonnaise for me. And I end up putting this in it. And you're going to gauge how much you want in making your pimento cheese. Truly, this is eyeballing. It is gauging your texture that you like, what you want. But I'm going to tell you how I do it. And FYI, I always love heat. You can never have enough heat for me. And so at Fresh Market, they have an olive bar. This olive bar particularly has red pepper on it. And so I love olives in my pimento cheese. And so I'm going to dice these olives up and stir it in. And just to let you know, for the topping, let me grab this because we do this as well. For the topping, what I do is I cook some bacon. Yummy. And after I've got this pimento cheese made and I'm ready to do the cracker, it's time to sit down and watch the game. I get the cracker out, I put the pimento cheese there, and then I get this bacon and I crumble it up and I put it on top of the pimento cheese, and yummy. It is absolutely amazing. So let's start making us some pimento cheese, right? Here is the cheese. I've got my pimento cheese bowl, and we're going to add some more to it. I've got here a hand grater, and we're going to grate some cheese and put on this, get our pimento cheese ready. What I love about this particular bowl is that I can just almost lay on top of it my grater, and I don't have to angle it, I don't have to do it a certain way, and it's easy to get the cheese in there. This cheese, I know cheese already comes grated and that makes it easier, but there is just a taste that I absolutely love with sharp cheddar cheese from a block that has just been grated. It is absolutely amazing. I'm just about my particular taste, and if I'm going to do it, I want to do it exactly like I want to do it, or I don't want to do it at all. What do they say? Go big or go home, right? Well, we get to go big at home. Isn't that awesome? And so just to show you how it's grating, that's how it's grating right there. But again, we're going to use this for at least a couple of meals, and then I'm going to do just a tiny bit for this show today so you can see my finale on this developed product of pimento cheese. And so I'm going to do just enough to at least get me by so that I'll have enough for game day on Saturday. And see, that's the other good thing is you can make this 2 days ahead of game day. So you get most of the work all out of the way. And the only thing that you have to make on game day, if you want it fresh, is the crackers. And that only takes not even a minute to put together and put it in the oven. How awesome is that? Isn't that amazing? And so I think this is enough pimento cheese. And again, I like a lot of mayo in mine. You might not like a lot of mayo, but I don't want the mayo to be so potent that it overcomes the cheese. I like that perfect balance. And so I'm probably putting in about, in this amount of this amount of cheddar, I'm probably going to put in, just start out, because remember, it's always better to start out small, because you can always add. Because if you overdo the mayo, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to grate some more cheese. And I would rather add more mayo than to have to grate some cheese. That's just my personal opinion. Not that that matters. So I'm going to add probably about 3 teaspoons, because I'm using a teaspoon. So I'm going to do 3 teaspoons right now of mayo, and I'm going to mix it around. And I'm just going to see how the texture comes out before I make the decision of whether or not to add more. Because believe it or not, that mayo can go a long way. In fact, I think this is a perfect amount, so I don't think I'm going to add any more. It's just perfect for me. And so it's going to have, for me, a nice even texture like that. Perfect! Love it. And so next, we're going to go to dicing the olives. So for me, again, this is your taste. Whatever you want to do. I love heat, and I love these olives because at Fresh Market, they have peppers on them, red pepper. So I'm going to get me some of this, and I'm going to get this dish right here, and I'm going to put some olives on here, and I'm going to go ahead, and I want the oils. See all that oil at the bottom of this? That's yummy. You want that stuff. And so believe you me, when I'm down to the bottom of my olives, guess what's coming out and into my pimento cheese? This oil. Absolutely love it. And so I'll probably have, but just because I love a lot of olives, I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 olives. Now, that's a lot, okay? But I like a lot of olives. We're going to get a knife, and I'm just going to start dicing them, where each olive has about 3. Each other olive I can cut at least 3 to 4 dices off of it. And those dices end up being so well. And the good thing too about cutting your olives up is just in case they end up having a pit in them. You don't want to be in the pits when you're watching the ball game, right? And so I've just got a couple more olives left, and then we'll be ready to mix that. And then I can answer your questions, but we'll also look at the tomato sauce. Ooh, I need to pay attention to my tomato sauce because I'm not doing it. I'm letting it burn. We don't want it to burn, right? And so make sure you're mixing those tomatoes. And you're just sautéing them enough so that they end up having the perfect texture where they can work with the apple cider vinegar. And we're going to add to this right here, these tomatoes, we're going to add half of a can of this. Don't freak out. 1/5 of this, 1/5 serving ends up being 8 grams of net carbs. 8 grams of net carbs. But remember, you're going to end up doing 2 meals with 2 people. And so by the time that you break down the servings, you're not going to have a ton of carbs. What I am surmising, I have not added it all up yet, but you're going to probably end up, and actually looking at the number of meatballs that we have in the oven, it's going to be probably about 3 meals for Rich and I, 3 servings for each. So 6 servings in that one batch. And so you're not going to have as much net carbs as you would think. But you want to go ahead and you want to add the tomato sauce to these tomatoes, because these tomatoes have gone down some and they're perfectly sautéed down enough to add the tomato sauce. And before we add our sweetener, because for me, I love sweetener in tomato sauce. We'll add that in a minute, but let's finish this pimento cheese. And so now I've got the olives done. There they all are. They're diced up. And I'm putting them in this pimento cheese. On top of that, I'm going to use this spatula. Why am I going to use a spatula? Look, there is yumminess. Yumminess that's on this silver dish that has to go into my pimento cheese. It's oil and red peppers. And so I'm going to get a spatula, and I'm going to end up getting all that oil, that residue, and it's not going to be on there. It is going to be absolutely clean because I love some oil and I love some red peppers. And so pretty much, look at that, pretty much it's clean. Is that not amazing? So now all you do, guess what? Easy stuff, mix it around. And you keep mixing it and folding it over and over until there's an even distribution of that olives, of those olives. Now, oh my goodness. Guess what, audience? Not enough heat for me. No, it's not. So guess what I am adding? Like if there is not enough heat, right? Oh my, I'm adding one of my favorite things, which is Slap Your Mama Cajun sauce. Woo! Party in a seasoning thing. And so I'm going to add some of this because, and I just don't let Rich know I'm putting it in there. Like anytime I add Slap Your Mama seasoning Cajun sauce, I make sure almost like Rich is turned or Rich is out of the kitchen, no matter what I add it to, because he doesn't think he likes a lot of heat. And I also add this to my coleslaw. When I make coleslaw, I do cabbage, I do mayo, and I do onion, and I do use some sweetener, some stevia, and I do with mayo, and I do Slap Your Mama seasoning. And Rich told me one time, he said, Robin, oh, it's going to be too much. I don't want that. And I did half as much as I normally do. And Rich said afterward, he said, Robin, put some more of that Cajun seasoning in there. There's not enough. Let me tell you, this is great for the ketogenic diet. And so I'm just going to add, for me, and I know y'all thinking, screaming, oh my goodness, that's so much. No, it's not, because this cracker is flax seed. It's not going to have a lot of taste. The taste is all going to come from your pimento cheese. The cracker, the flax seed, is for the texture, okay? And so you're going to want to bump your pimento cheese up so that you can get the yummy flavor on such a bland cracker. You're not going to think about how the flavor of the cracker, the seasoning of the cracker, believe you me, you're just going to be glad to have crackers on the ketogenic diet. How many of you out there know what I'm talking about? Because if you like crackers and you miss crackers, it is just so good to eat a cracker. And so that's about my mixture where I've got it mixed. And I'm going to keep it, I'm actually going to put it back in the refrigerator until, and I only got 10 more minutes, until our cracker is done. And I'm going to put this top on and put it in there until it's time to come out. So next, we're going to stir this up, this tomato sauce with the tomato. I'm going to get some apple cider vinegar, not put it in yet. I'm going to put it in when I transfer the meatballs into the pan. And then I'm going to get me, right now, some stevia. This is our sugar cup. And I'm going to go ahead and put in, because I like a lot of stevia. I like sweet Italian food. I cannot help it. And so I'm going to put in a lot of stevia. It's probably about 3 teaspoons. And I'm going to mix it up, and I'm going to turn it off. The good thing is if you put it in a little cooking pot, like if you end up getting a Dutch oven, if you put your meatballs in a Dutch oven, and you just put the top on them, what you do is do this 2 days before, do it the day before, like I'm doing it the day before here. Pour the tomato sauce on, pour the apple cider vinegar in, mix it around, and just let it stay in there for 2 days. And it is super yummy. And you don't have that much work to do. So what do? On game day, take out the Dutch oven. This is a small Dutch oven from Holland Dutch oven. This is a small one, but all I do is take it out of the refrigerator on game day, 30 minutes before the game starts, I will probably warm this up at about 225, probably for about 20 minutes or so. Take the top off, look at how it's going, look at how it's cooking, warming up, and then I'll make a determination if I need to do it 10 more minutes or if I need to do it 5 more minutes. So that is the awesome thing about having this recipe. Now, we've got just a couple minutes before our food comes out. Does anyone have questions? Does anyone have questions? I see just a couple of people on. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you so much. Oh, I love it, Jenny. Does anyone have any questions? Not that you do, but if you have a question, let me know. If you have a question about keto, again, it's informational and entertainment purposes only. I'm not a physician. I'm not a nutritionist, but I've lived it, and I love health and wellness. I'm in health and wellness school, getting certified next month. Be certified. And I'm doing health and wellness coaching. I absolutely love it. But if you have any questions, let me know. It looks like there's no questions, but let me just throw us through. I saw where Kathy was saying something earlier, and I did not get to read it at the time. Yeah, basil is good for you. Yes, basil is good for you, Kathy. It is. So let us look. I'm just going to open the oven, and let's just look at the cracker. I might even bring it out early just to entertain you, okay? And the meatballs, oh my goodness, the meatballs are looking good. But let me get this cooking mitt, and let me get this cracker out of the oven. Oh, actually, the cracker is good. It is good. Oh my goodness. Now I get to eat today. Woo! I'm so excited. So look at how that cracker turned out. Can you see it? It looks good. Is that not amazing? That's the cracker. And I'll show you the texture. It's kind of hot right now, but I'll show you the texture in a minute. I'm going to get just a little dish, and I'm going to put this cracker on it, and then I'm going to do some pimento cheese. And oh my goodness, you get to watch me. You get to salivate, and you get to watch me eat this. Well, that's all right, Kathy. If you can't eat sausage or cheese, just do meat and do some almond flour. That's just great. Those two things alone are enough to make you meatballs. And if you cannot do pimento cheese, you can just do the cracker and just do something else on top of it. You can do butter. You can make you a herb butter sauce, like with hard butter, and then you can just spread it on top, and that is super yummy. So let's look at this cracker. Look at this. Now, what I would call this, the bottom is hard. Can you hear that? It's hard. It's actually perfect. The bottom is hard, and the top is just a little soft. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Now y'all get to see all the times when I take pictures of my Parmesan and crackers. And so this is how you get to see how the cracker, you see inside of that cracker. I did not do mine so thin because I still like a breadiness texture to it still. So I did not do mine so thin that you can actually see in between the top and the bottom, almost where it separates. But the bottom is hard and the top is soft. But let me show you how this looks, how the finished product looks. And so let's say that this is actually a much bigger serving, okay? And what I'm gonna do to do presentation. Presentation is everything, right? So for presentation, you don't want your crackers perfect, just get them like that. They don't have to be perfect, and separate them out for your guest or for your loved one or for your family member, and then get your pimento cheese. Let me get some pimento cheese. So you're going to get your pimento cheese, and you're going to scoop some on there, and I'm going to get me a big tablespoon, not a big tablespoon, a big serving. There it is. Isn't that pretty? And so I've got that on there, but we've got to dress this up. How can we dress this up, you might ask? Let's dress it up by maybe putting a little bit more basil on top of the pimento cheese. And not only are we going to put a little bit of basil on there, but we're also going to get some yummy bacon. Yum! And we're going to end up breaking this up into some bacon bits, and I'll show you how it looks, and you'll get to see the presentation. Oh my goodness, this is so pretty. You almost don't want to eat it. So pretty. So pretty. And then to top it off, to have a better taste, get you the right serving knife. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? So look at this display. You got 2 crackers and you got the serving knife and you give it to your guests. Is that not super beautiful? You see the basil, you see the bacon, you see the olive, the pimento, the cheese, and now the crackers. But now it's time to taste. Thank you, God. I get to taste the pimento cheese. And so you just spread it out like that, and you get it from your batch of pimento cheese. And just FYI, if you eat this, you're going to have a good digestive process the next day. So here I've actually bit over part of the cracker. So look at that. Is that not yummy? Is that not yummy? So let's taste it. Oh my goodness. Yummy. The perfect texture, almost like chewiness from the cracker, also has great olives with the texture of the cheese, the creaminess, and even the basil. I haven't added the basil on there before, but I love the taste and the flavor the basil brings to this. And I love the crunch too of the bacon, and of course the taste. But oh my goodness, this, with what we do is we do what we call a sparkling drink. What we do is do 0 Sprite and 0 Fanta, and we mix it half and half, and that is our drink. That we call that a spritzer for us. And we have that drink with this, and oh my goodness. 2 thumbs up. Greasy thumbs. 2 greasy thumbs up. That is marvelous. Oh my goodness. And now we're almost through with the meatballs. Let me double check them, because last time I overcooked them. They might even be ready right now. Let me move this on this back burner and just get a view of these meatballs. Oh my goodness, look at these meatballs. Do those not look yummy? Oh my goodness. I'm going to go ahead and take them out now. Why? Well, I'm going to be cooking them again tomorrow. And so I'm actually going to take them out now because they're going to be cooked twice, actually. And I might even have to get a bigger Dutch rolling pot. But I've got these yummy meatballs right here. Is that not amazing? So what I'm going to do, just to make sure, is I'm going to get this to make sure that the meatballs are not sticking to the bottom. Yes, they're perfect. Oh my goodness, Rich is going to love me like he already does, but he's going to super love me tomorrow. Tomorrow, Saturday. And so I'm just going to make sure I scrape these. For some reason, it's easier for the meatballs to come out of the dance pan. You also want that olive oil. That olive oil is really good. And so you don't want to miss that olive oil. And so you're going to scrape all of this. And I've got this spatula spoon. I love these spatula spoons. I don't know if y'all have ever seen these, but it's like a spatula spoon. It's my favorite thing to use. And so we're going to do this. And we're going to end up transferring this over into here. Transferring it over into here. These are some of my favorite mints because my mom gave me these mints. I love things that my mom gives me. And so I'm going to make sure that these meatballs end up being transferred into here. Oh yeah, just perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Yummy. Oh my goodness. That is 3 meals. That is 3 meals. And look, some of that's fat. Some of that's just fat that came off, so I'm not going to get that. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to now get this tomato sauce. Man, if I would have known it was going to make this much, I would have made more tomato sauce. Oh my goodness, I might have to add some extra because it's more meals. So I'm going to add this tomato sauce. And I'm going to pour it on top of this meat. This is going to be interesting. This is the entertainment right here. How is Robbie going to do this? I have no clue. I might need to pray. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to pray. God, help me mix this in Jesus' name. And so before we start mixing it, what do we need to do? Get your apple cider vinegar with the mother. You want it with the mother. Shake it up and then splash it on there. That's probably about 2 to 3 tablespoons right there. And you're saying, oh, Robin, that's too much. I thought it was too much, and I was worried about how it was going to taste and how it was going to turn out. It turned out fabulous because the tomato with the stevia, that sweetness, it ended up being just the right amount with it. So what I'm doing is I'm folding this in with these meatballs, making sure they're covered. Why? Because we're going to put the top on it. And where's it going to go? When it cools down. Hello! Remember that. When it cools down, where's it going to go? It's going to go in the refrigerator. So if you did this on Thursday and you have the game on Saturday, guess what? You got that in there 2 days, marinating. And then if you have cooked it, if you've done it on Friday, you've got it marinating 24 hours almost. Is that not amazing? And so that's how it looks like. Let me get this pan so you can see it up close and have a good look at it. I want you to get a good eyeball on it. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Yummy! I know you're jealous. Make you some and you won't be jealous. Look at that. Is that not amazing? And so right now, since this already has, this Dutch Holland pot has a hole on top of it, I can go ahead and put this down and I can just let this cool. When it cools, I put it in the refrigerator. Tomorrow, 40 minutes before the game, 225 for 20 minutes. Check it. And then if you need a couple more minutes, a couple more minutes. And we're going to have game day kickoff. I'll see you later. I hope you enjoyed it.